Hare Krishna, welcome to this episode of Caitanya Charitamrita. One second. So today we will be looking at chapter 10 of the Adalila, the the trunk, branches and sub-branches of the Chaitanya tree. So we will quickly go to the Mangalacharan prayers and then we will start. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Ajnanatimidandhasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Shri Chaitanya Manobhishtam Sthapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupah Kadamahyam Dadati Swapadantikam Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Yutapadakamalam Shri Gurun Vaishnavamscha Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sahagana Raghunathanvitam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadhutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padan Sahagana Lalita Shri Vishakhanvitamscha He Krishna Karuna Sindho Dinabandho Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostute Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vrishabhanu Sute Devi Pranamami Hari Priye Vancha Kalpatarubhyascha Kripa Sindhubhya Evacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha Namo Om Vishnupadaya Krishna Presthaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti Vedanta Swaminiti Namine Namaste Saraswati Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschatya Deshatarine Jaya Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shri Vasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. So the trunk, branches and sub-branches of the Chaitanya tree. Oh, what is happening? This chapter describes the branches of the tree named Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Just before we start, I just want to show you this verse. I think you all know this verse probably. So in Bhagavad Gita, there is this verse, 15th chapter, Purushottam Yoga chapter, the first verse. Shri Bhagavan Vacha Urdhvamulam Adha Shakham Ashvatham Prahuravyayam Chandamsi Yasya Paranani Yastam Vedasa Vedavit. Translation. The Supreme Personality of Godhead said, it is said that there is an imperishable banyan tree that has its roots upward and its branches down and whose leaves are the Vedic hymns. One who knows this tree is the knower of the Vedas. So this is actually, of course, the tree of work, karma, but also parampara also goes through the same, has the same structure. So the roots upward, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is the root, and he is the tree also. And then the branches of the tree are the devotees, the disciplic successions from that tree. Now, it's very nicely explained in the verses. As we go on, we will see how. Now, one may think that if Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is the tree, and then the branches of the tree are the disciplic successions, how is that? Because if the entire tree, along with all the branches, is Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, then how come the branches are some other devotees? So if we remember the very, very first verse of Chaitanya Charitamrita, let's see. Vande Guru Nisha Bhakta Nisha Nishavata. What is that? Isha Bhaktan Isha Nishavatarakan Tat Prakashamsta Chatat Shakti Sri Chaitanya Samgyakam. Krishna Chaitanya Samgyakam. You see, this is the first verse of the Chaitanya Charitamrita. So Chaitanya Mahaprabhu means all these 6 aspects. So what are they? Vande, I offer my respectful obeisances. Gurun, the spiritual masters, that means the entire disciplic succession. And not only one branch of the disciplic succession, all the branches. And then, so Gurun is one aspect of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Isha Bhaktan, devotees of the Supreme Lord. They also, another aspect of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Isham, unto the Supreme Lord. Third aspect. Isha Avatarakan, unto the incarnations of the Supreme Lord. Tat Prakashams, unto the manifestations of the Supreme Lord. And Tat Shakti, unto the potencies of the Supreme Lord. Krishna Chaitanya Samgyakam is named. So, if we see the translation, I offer my respectful obeisances unto the spiritual masters, the devotees of the Lord's incarnations, His plenary portions, His energies, and the primeval Lord Himself, Sri Krishna Chaitanya. So, later on in this chapter, I think if we Gurun Isha Bhaktan. Okay, let me just you see here, Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami has composed a Sanskrit verse for the beginning of his book, and now he will explain it in detail. He offers his respectful obeisances to the 6 principles of the Absolute Truth. So the Absolute Truth has these 6 principles. Gurun is plural in number because anyone who gives spiritual instructions based on the revealed scriptures is accepted as a spiritual master. Although others give help in showing the way to beginners, the Guru who first initiates one with the Mahamantra is to be known as the initiator, and the saints who give instructions for progressive advancement in Krishna consciousness are called instructing spiritual masters. The initiating and instructing spiritual masters are equal and identical manifestations of Krishna, although they have different dealings. Their function is to guide the conditioned souls back to Godhead. Therefore, Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami accepted Nityananda Prabhu and the 6 Goswamis in the category of Guru. Isha Bhaktan refers to the devotees of the Lord like Sri Srivas and all other such followers. Srivasa, the Gaura Bhakta Vrinda, that is Isha Bhaktan, who are the energy of the Lord and are qualitatively non-different from Him. So they are qualitatively non-different, but quantitatively they are different. Because devotee and the Lord are not the same. Ishavatarakan refers to acharyas like Advaita Prabhu, who is an avatar of the Lord. Avatar means one who is descends in this material world. Tat Prakashan indicates the direct manifestation of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Nityananda Prabhu, and the initiating spiritual master. Tat Prakashan. Tat Shakti, that means Tat Shakti. Together becomes Tat Shakti. Refers to the spiritual energies, Shaktis of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Gadadhar, Damodar and Jagadanand belong to this category of internal energy. So Divya Mataji is asking, what is the difference between Lord's incarnations and His plenary portions? Good. So incarnations are when they actually appear themselves in this material world, they descend. Plenary portions may or may not come into this material world. Sometimes they come. Like sometimes the Supreme Lord Himself comes. Krishnastu Bhagavan Swayam. So Swayam Bhagavan also comes and His incarnations come. So sometimes His plenary portions may come. Incarnations are definitely plenary portions of the Lord. Not all actually. Those who are plenary means what? Having the same power. So although he is a portion, but he is a plenary portion. So Advaitam Achyutam Anadim Anantarupam Adyam Purana Purusham Navayovanam Cha. So what is that? Advaitam, so he is one without a second, is one, but Anantarupam. So what is that? So there are portions, but plenary portions. We are not plenary portions of the Lord. So some of the avatars, there are 6 categories of avatars. We have gone through all these in the earlier chapters of Chaitanya Charitamrita Adi Leela. So 6 types of avatars. There is the Purusha avatar, then there is the Guna avatar, then there is the Yuga avatar, Leela avatar, Manvantara avatar, Shaktyavesh avatar. 6 categories of avatars. So all of them are not on the same, or are not plenary portions. Like Shaktyavesh avatar is not plenary portion, Manvantara avatar is mostly not plenary portion. Sometimes maybe the Lord may come, but it is a portion of the plenary portion. So even Yasyai Kanishvasita Kala Mathavalambya Jivanti Loma Vilaja Jagadandanatha Vishnur Mahansa Ihayasya Kala Vishesho Govindamadi Purusham Damaham Bhajami. Kala Vishesho. Kala means what? Portion of a plenary portion. So from Krishna expands Balaram, from Balaram expands the Chaturvyuha, Vasudeva, Sankarshan, Pradyumna, Aniruddha, and from that Sankarshan comes the second tier of Vasudeva, Sankarshan, Pradyumna, Aniruddha, and then from that Sankarshan expands Mahavishnu, who is the first Purusha avatar. So there are 3 Purusha avatars: Karanodakashaya Vishnu, Garbhodakashaya Vishnu, Kshirodakashaya Vishnu. So there is one Karanodakashaya Vishnu, unlimited Garbhodakashaya Vishnus, and unlimited Kshirodakashaya Vishnus. Because each universe there is a Garbhodakashaya Vishnu and there are unlimited universes. But there is one Mahavishnu from whom every universe is coming. So, and in each and every atom, the Kshirodakashaya Vishnu is there as Paramatma. Andantarastha Paramanu Chayantarastham Govindamadi Purusham Tamaham Bhajami. So those are all avatars. Avatar means one who descends from a higher position to a lower position. So from spiritual world to the material world, from a superior energy to inferior energy. So that is avatar. Plenary portion, like all the Vishnu Murtis, Vishnu means one who enters. So when he enters into this material world, he is called Vishnu. Whereas in the spiritual world, he is not called Vishnu, he is called Narayan. So the 4-handed form is not called Vishnu in the Vaikuntha Loka. Vishnu means in the material world. Vishate Yad Tad Vishnu. So in the spiritual world, the Narayan, all the 400 forms, and even Balaram and the Chaturvyuha, all of them are plenary portions, but they are not avatars because they have not descended to the material world. So when they have descended to the material world, they are incarnations, but those incarnations sometimes are plenary portions. Like Mahavishnu is a plenary portion, Garbhodakashaya Vishnu, Kshirodakashaya Vishnu, Ramachandra Bhagavan, and Matsya, Kurma, all of them are plenary portions. Whereas Buddha is not, he is Shaktyavesh avatar. Parshuram is also Shaktyavesh avatar. But Kalki is again plenary portion. So like that. There's a difference. So you see, Tat Shakti, spiritual energies, Shaktis, Gadadhar, Damodar, and Jagadananda belong to this category of internal energy. Gadadhar is Radharani. Damodar, I think, is one of the Sakhis. Sarup Damodar. I think Lalita or Vishakha Sakhi or something like that. I may go wrong. If you have any reference, please put it in the comments. Jagadananda is Satyabhama. So they are all consorts of the Lord. So they are Shaktis. So anyway, and of course these are just representatives of the Shaktis, but there are unlimited Shaktis now. So anyway, so all these together is Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. So when Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is saying, I am the tree, so these branches are the devotees. So there is Isha Bhaktan, and Ishan Ishavatarakan, Tat Prakasham. Prakasham means an initiating spiritual master. And also the Acharyas, refers to Acharyas, Ishavatarakan. Avatar. Acharya is actually an avatar of Ishvara. Shakti-avesh avatar. Krishna Shakti vina nahitar pravartan. A person who has no Shakti of Krishna, specially invested by the Lord, he cannot actually preach Krishna consciousness. So he has to be a Shakti-avesh avatar. Shakti Avesha. Avesha means one who is empowered. That is the meaning actually. Shakti Avesha. Shakti means power. Shakti Avesha means empowered. It means the power is given to such a person by the Lord. Alright, so with that basic understanding, let's go back all the way. Okay, so this chapter describes the branches of the tree named Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Swarup Damodar Vishakha. So, it is there in the Gaur Ganodesha Deepika. Okay, so first verse of this chapter. So, Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami, in all of his chapters in Chaitanya Charitamrita, the first shloka is always in Sanskrit. Something about the topic of that chapter, he will write like a Mangalacharan, like a prayer. Shri Chaitanya Padambhojam Madhupebhyo Namo Namaha Kathanchid Ashrayadyesham Shvapi Tadgandha Bhag Bhavet. Translation. Let me repeatedly offer my respectful obeisances unto the bee-like devotees who always taste the honey of the lotus feet of Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. If even a doggish non-devotee somehow takes shelter of such devotees, he enjoys the aroma of the lotus flower. So, there's a nice explanation by Srila Prabhupada. Purport. The example of a dog is very significant in this connection. A dog naturally does not become a devotee at any time, but still it is sometimes found that a dog of a devotee gradually becomes a devotee also. We have actually seen that a dog has no respect even for the tulsi plant. Indeed, a dog is especially inclined to pass urine on the tulsi plant. Therefore, the dog is the number one non-devotee. But Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's Sankirtan movement is so strong that even a dog-like non-devotee can gradually become a devotee by the association of a devotee of Lord Chaitanya. Srila Shivananda Sena, a great household devotee of Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, attracted a dog on the street while going to Jagannath Puri. The dog began to follow him and ultimately went to Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and was liberated. Similarly, cats and dogs in the household of Srivas Thakur were also liberated. Cats and dogs and other animals are not expected to become devotees, but in the association of a pure devotee, they are also delivered. So, why you may think devotees are having cats and dogs? See, dog is a very muchi animal, very dirty animal. If you touch a dog, you can't offer the food, you can't do any puja. It's considered very dirty. You have to take a bath for doing any kind of purificatory thing, either deity worship or even chanting or anything like that. If you touch a dog, that means you're dirty. And if a dog sees the food before being offered to Krishna, you cannot offer that food to Krishna anymore. You have to cook again. So, of course, dogs are loyal, but there are also other things, which not nice about dogs. And the worst thing about dog is, Prabhupada said, number one rascal is dog. At the time also. But in this purport, he said number one non-devotee. So he passes urine on the tulsi plant. So that is offensive. But he doesn't know anything. He is passing urine. But this offense is still counted. So unintentional offense. So cats and dogs. So Shivananda Sena, that story is there in the Madhya Lila, where Shivananda Sena is traveling, and then the dog also joins, and then eventually meets Chaitanya Mahaprabhu in Jagannath Puri, and then Chaitanya Mahaprabhu asks the dog to chant, and then the dog starts chanting, and then liberated. Then cats and dogs of Srivas Thakur, they were also liberated. So you may ask, why devotees are having cats and dogs if it is dirty? Cats are also very dirty actually. So why? So it is not that they used to keep them like today's pets, sleep with them in the same bed and everything. No. Dogs, even if they were there, they used to be outside the house. They don't enter into the house. No, they just stay in the veranda and then or outside. Then they are given food and something like that. So there is some distance maintained. Not like play with them and the dog keeps licking the whole face and everything. That's not the way. And similarly, Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya's dog, I don't know if he had a dog, but it looks like he had, because there is a verse like that. So in the Chaitanya Charitamrita, 15.284, सार्वभौम गृहे दास दासी जय कुक्कुर शेह मोरो प्रिय अन्य जन रहु दूर. Everyone, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is saying, everyone in Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya's house is very dear to me, including his maids and servants and even his dog, and what to speak of his relatives. So, it must be a So Gaur Ganodesh Deepika references here in the comment section about Swarup Damodar Goswami. Srimati Vishakha Gopi, who formerly taught the various fine arts to Srimati Radharani in Vrajabhumi, appeared during Lord Chaitanya's advent as Swarup Damodar Goswami, who was filled with the various splendid manifestations of ecstatic love of Godhead. So, Chaitanya, Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami has said even a dog like non-devotee can take shelter of saying there are some people who have developed some rare disease after being licked by their pet dogs, for which all their limbs had to be amputated, otherwise they would have died. Yeah, I've seen one video like that on YouTube. So second verse always of every chapter of Chaitanya Charitamrita is usually like this, with a few exceptions only. If it is not the second verse, it would have been the third or fourth verse. But usually the second verse is this. Jaya Jaya. Oh, this is a little bit different. Jaya Jaya Shri Chaitanya. Usually it's Jaya Jaya Shri Chaitanya Jaya Nityananda Jaya Dvaita Chandra Jaya Gaura Bhakta Vrinda. Yep, slightly different. Jaya Jaya Shri Krishna Chaitanya Nityananda Jaya Dvaita Chandra Jaya Gaura Bhakta Vrinda. All glories to Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and Lord Nityananda, all glories to Advaita Prabhu, and all glories to the devotees of Lord Chaitanya headed by Srivas. Ei Maliru ei Vrikshera Akathya Kathan Ebeshunu Mukhya Shakhar Nama Vivaran. The description of Lord Chaitanya as the gardener and the tree is inconceivable. Now hear with attention about the branches of this tree. So Chaitanya Mahaprabhu said, I want to be the gardener, I want to be the tree also. So how can a gardener be a tree? The Lord can be. Chaitanya Goshaira Jata Parishad Choy Guru Laghu Bhavatar Na Hoy Nishchoy. The associates of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu were many, but none of them should be considered lower or higher. This cannot be ascertained. Jata Jata Mahanta Kailas Tasavara Ganan Keha Kari Bari Nare Jeshtha Laghukram. All the great personalities in the line of Lord Chaitanya enumerated these devotees, but they could not distinguish between the greater and the lesser. अतएव दास बारे करी नमस्कार नाम मात्र करी दोष ना लाभे आमार. I offer my obeisances unto them as a token of respect. I request them not to consider my offences. Vande Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prema Marataroh Priyan Shakha Rupan Bhakta Ganan Krishna Prema Phala Pradan. Very nice. So a tree stands in one place, but he gives fruits in, he spreads out his hands, the branches everywhere, and then makes the fruits available for everyone. So it's like as if it's giving with all his hands, the tree, like that. You see, another Sanskrit verse is composed here. I offer my obeisances to all the dear devotees of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, the eternal tree of love of Godhead. I offer my respects to all the branches of the tree, the devotees of the Lord who distribute the fruit of love of Krishna. So in the previous chapter we have seen the tree, references were there from Srimad Bhagavatam. We have seen those references also. 10th canto, 22nd chapter, verses 30 through 35, 36, somewhere around there. The charitable nature of a tree, we have seen that. And Chaitanya Mahaprabhu quoted that and said he wants to be charitable as also. So he wants to, Krishna Prema Pradayate. Krishna Prema Pradayate. In today's verse, this verse, Krishna Prema Phala Pradan. Shakha Rupan Bhakta Ganan. So, the devotees who are the branches of this tree distribute the fruit of love of Krishna. Purport. Shri Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami sets the example of offering obeisances to all the preacher devotees of Lord Chaitanya without distinction as to higher and lower. So this is the thing. Krishna Prema Phala Pradan. So those who are distributing Krishna consciousness must be offered obeisances. So now Prabhupada, you see how he explains, because some of his god brothers were actually criticizing him and he is indirectly referring to them here. Unfortunately, at present there are many foolish so-called devotees of Lord Chaitanya who make such distinctions. For example, the title Prabhupada is offered to a spiritual master, especially to a distinguished spiritual master such as Srila Rupa Goswami Prabhupada, Srila Jiva Goswami Prabhupada, or Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Goswami Prabhupada. When our disciples similarly wanted to address their spiritual master as Prabhupada, some foolish people became envious. Notice how he says, when our disciple, he did not say my disciples. When our disciple. This is actually an expression of humility. When referring to ourselves, we have to say when my disciples, instead of saying my disciples, he used to say when our disciples. So this is actually he makes it plural when he is referring to himself. And you see, instead of saying when my disciples similarly wanted to address me as Prabhupada, instead of saying like that, he is saying when our disciples similarly wanted to address their spiritual master. He did not refer to as himself, although he, of course, is meaning himself. But that pride of being a guru is not there for Prabhupada. So this we have to notice, how devotees present themselves. When our disciples similarly wanted to address their spiritual master as Prabhupada, some foolish people became envious. Not considering the propaganda work of the Hare Krishna movement, simply because these disciples addressed their spiritual master as Prabhupada, they became so envious that they formed a faction along with other such envious persons just to minimize the value of the Krishna consciousness movement. They actually considered Prabhupada as if he has done nothing. He is just a grahastha. He was just a grahastha until a few years back, and now he is trying to be the big Jagat Guru. Prabhupada is taking the title. They were so envious. When the so-called sannyasis, they could not do anything. in the matter of preaching. They were just having their temple and that's it. And Prabhupada went all over the world and made all these mlechas and yavanas from other parts of the world into devotees. And they have no regard for that. But here, see how Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami is offering his obeisances. Krishna Prema Phala Pradhan, the preachers. So, of course, we have other shlokas glorifying preachers. Krishna glorifies preachers in the 18th chapter of Bhagavad Gita. And gopis glorify the preachers in the 10th canto, 31st chapter, 9th verse. Then 7:14:42, there is a glorification of the preachers by Narad Muni, and it is said there that Krishna himself, serves and is a servant of such preachers. Now here is another verse. So 10:7, Adilila 10.7. So here Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami is glorifying the preachers, and he himself is a preacher. So he himself is a preacher, and a preacher does not like to show himself as greater or better than other preachers. No. He offers his respect to other preachers, bona fide preachers we're talking about. He offers his respect to all the bona fide preachers and he seeks their mercy in his preaching. That's why every time Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami says, Rupa Raghunatha Pade Jar Ash Caitanya Charitamrita Kohe Krishnadas. So he is desiring the dust of the lotus feet of Rupa Goswami and Raghunath Das Goswami. In other words, the 6 Goswamis, especially Rupa Raghunath. So, so that is the proper way. That's why our Mangalacharan prayers, Vande Guru Shri Yuta Shri Gurun Shri Yuta Shri Guru Yuta Pada Kamalam Shri Gurun Vaishnavamscha. Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Yuta Kamalam Shri Gurun Vaishnavamscha Shri Rupam Sagrajatam. Shri Rupam means Rupa Goswami. Sa Agrajatam. Agraja means Sanatana Goswami, elder brother. Agrajatam. Sahagana Raghunathanvitam. Raghunatha Anvitam. The 2 Raghunaths. Tamsa Jivam. Jiva Goswami. I don't know Gopal Bhatta Goswami, where is he in the... Basically, all together. Sa Advaitam, Advaitacharya. Sa Avadhutam, Avadhutam is Nityananda Prabhu. Sa Avadhutam, Parijana Sahitam. All the other, Sahitam means together, along with all the other devotees. Krishna Caitanya Devam. Shri Radha Krishna Padan Sahagana Lalita Shri Vishakhanvitamscha. So Lalita and Vishakha, and the duo Lalita and Vishakha, and of course Radha Krishna Padan, the lotus feet of Radha and Krishna, and Radha Krishna Padan Sahagana Lalita Shri Vishakhanvitam. So in this way we offer our prayers first. Sometimes we chant this prayers, but I think many devotees also do not know the meaning of these prayers. We have covered this in the I think Strengthening Foundation series, if I am not wrong. So we should know what is this meaning of this. So we are also doing that. That is called Mangalacharan, invoking the blessings of the devotee, not just saying it just because we have to say it. We have to actually offer them respectful obeisances and seek their mercy. Seek the mercy of all the Vaishnavas in speaking. So that is how one should speak. Not to show off one's scholarship or something. It should be done under the guidance of Vaishnavas and for the service of Vaishnavas. So these envious people in the Gaudiya Math, Prabhupada's God brothers, so they created a faction and trying to minimize the value of the Krishna consciousness movement of Prabhupada. To chastise such fools, see, Prabhupada directly called them fools. Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami very frankly says, Keho koribare nare jeshtha laghukram. Anyone who is a bona fide preacher of the cult of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu must be respectful to the real devotees of Lord Chaitanya. One should not be envious, considering one preacher to be very great and another to be very lowly. This is a material distinction and has no place on the platform of spiritual activities. Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami therefore offers equal respect to all the preachers of the cult of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu who are compared to the branches of the tree. ISKCON is one of these branches, and it should therefore be respected by all sincere devotees of Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. So, if everybody has to be given equal respect, then why here Prabhupada is actually kind of admonishing his god brothers in this purport, and he's not giving them respect. He called them fools. So, real devotees, that's why Prabhupada mentioned here in the purport, real devotees, real preachers, not simply like, in the namesake devotees who are envious. No, who is really preaching as it is without any, adulteration. They are actually real devotees. Who are changing everything, they are not real devotees. So here is I'm sharing the link of the Strengthening Foundations episode, other important daily prayers. So in this there is the Mangalacharan prayer, I guess. So you can go and see that. I mean, even if you don't see the class, you just go through the Bhagavad Gita introduction and you see the meaning below these prayers. It should be in your head already. Whatever you're saying, everything you have to understand what you're saying. Please don't be, what I usually call these kind of devotees? Hare Krishna Buddhus. Hare Krishna, they are devotees. Look like devotees, have all the dress and outlook of a devotee, appearance of a devotee. But you ask them anything, they don't know anything. Like simple things they do not know. What is Charanamrita? They don't know what is Charanamrita. They think some water every day will drink. Where it is coming from, they don't know. The Abhishek is done and then that water is collected and that is drunk as Charanamrita. That thing also they don't understand. Very simple things. I think Vrajageshwar Prabhu also questions devotees like that, quizzes them. Okay, tell me the names of the last 5 acharyas in our sampradaya. Sometimes they fumble. Many times they fumble. So, or the meaning of the Guru Ashtaka prayers, forget it. Those kind of things are too high level. Guru Vandana prayers are too much. How can you ask these kind of difficult questions? Some people get offended because they are asked questions. How can you ask like this? You are making me look like a fool. These kind of things are there. So, these are Hare Krishna Buddhus. There is no understanding of what they are doing. They are simply doing because everybody is doing. Why you are following Mangalarti? Because we have to, everybody is doing, I also have to do. Or why you are following Sunday program? Love feast, what is it? Just Prabhupada started something, we will do. It's just a meaningless ritual. We have to understand what we are doing. So you cannot be Hare Krishna Buddhus. If somebody asks any questions, we can't answer. But appearance, everything like a devotee. Pakka devotee. But inside, a little bit poke inside and it will become kacha. Raw, not cooked. When pakoda looks very nicely cooked on the outside, but then you eat and then everything is raw inside, like that. If the oil is too hot, then you put the pakoda inside, it will quickly turn brown, and if you take out, inside is not cooked. The oil has to be lesser, so it must be inside and outside, everything must be cooked. So pakka devotee means one who is, pakka hua devotee, like he has to be cooked inside out. That means he has to, whatever is outside, it has to be his inside. Not that outside looking like a devotee, but inside actually he doesn't know anything what he is doing. Kacha. Cannot be like that. Then we will actually bring disrepute to Prabhupada like that. Bring disrepute to the entire parampara. Because what will people say? Oh, you are Hare Krishna devotee. What is the Hare Krishna Mahamantra? What you all do and why you all do that? Then I cannot answer. These Hare Krishna people don't know what they are doing. Then the whole Hare Krishna, the entire parampara gets bad name. At least for showing respect to our predecessor acharyas and Prabhupada, we have to know what we are doing. Firstly, we have to be interested in what we are doing. And if we can't muster enough interest, we should at least be ashamed that I'm bringing disrepute to Prabhupada, so I should at least know what am I doing. At least for that, Shrivasa Pandit or Sri Rama Pandit, Dui Bhai Dui Shakha Jagate Vidit. So, Shrivasa the Gaura Bhakta Vrinda, right? So, the devotees of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu headed by Shrivas. Okay, now, why is that so? So, here we will find, you see, so the Chaitanya tree, the tree of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, the branches and sub branches, right? Starts with Srivas Pandit here, you see. The two brothers, Srivas Pandit and Sri Ram Pandit, started two branches that are well known in the world. So, they are brothers and purport, you see. In the Gaura Ganodesha Deepika, this is the book written by Kavi Karnapur, the third son of Shivananda Sena. In the Gaura Ganodesha Deepika, verse 90, Srivas Pandit, Srivas Thakur, is described as an incarnation of Narad Muni. And Sri Ram Pandit, his younger brother, is said to be an incarnation of Parvat Muni, a great friend of Narada's. Narada and Parvata are like very close friends. You know, if you remember the story of Mrigari the hunter, when Narad Muni made him a big devotee. So after some months, he came to check on him, and actually he came with Parvat Muni. And when Parvat Muni saw what happened to this Mrigari, and he became he was unwilling to kill an ant, then wow, he said, "You are a touchstone, you are a Chintamani, Narada." Parvat Muni said to Narada, and that is mentioned in the Chaitanya Charitamrita. So, so they are very close, great friends, Parvat Muni and Narada Muni. So they came as brothers in the Chaitanya Leela. Srivas Pandit's wife, Malini, is celebrated as an incarnation of the nurse Ambika who fed Lord Krishna with her breast milk. And as already noted, his niece Narayani, the mother of Thakur Vrindavan Das, the author of Sri Chaitanya Bhagavat, was the sister of Ambika in Krishna Leela. So, Brajagishwar Prabhu. So, in his quiz, this is some experience from his quiz. After some devotees, quote unquote, take darshan and turn around, it has happened several times that I have asked those devotees what color outfit the Lord is wearing, and they will be unable to tell. So, I don't know what they saw. I mean, I am guilty of this as well. I mean, many times. Sometimes I quiz myself, what color was today's date? Then I go down again and then see, oh yeah, okay. And then another, devotees seem to get fried faster than getting cooked. Yeah, it's like the oil is too hot and then the pakora you put there and then quickly turn black, but inside is uncooked and outside is burnt. They get burnt and fried faster than getting cooked because the oil is too hot for them. I think it's too intense. The whole movement is too intense for them, and staying and making a Mangalarti, chanting 16 hours, following 4 principles, not 1, 2, 3, 4 principles. Oh, for 6 months to get initiated, it's like hell. So, burnt. And in the meantime, getting corrected by other devotees and then hating the whole process and whole thing in the process, and then getting burnt black. Well done. They say well done, right? When it is burnt black, they say well done. So, well done, devotees. So, we should not become like that. So, so here, now you see something interesting. Narad Muni is a Akhanda Brahmachari. But when he took the incarnation of Srivas Pandit, you see, he married. Hey, how come? What is this going on? It can go on. Never mind. Don't be too agitated by this. They can do anything they like. Yeah, anything. They can do anything Krishna wants them to do. That's it. Yeah. So we don't need to be like, what is this? How come? Yeah, it can happen. So Srivas Pandit's wife Malini is celebrated as an incarnation of the nurse Ambika, who fed Lord Krishna with her breast milk, and so she must have been a nurse in the Vrindavan who must have fed her breast milk to Krishna. And as already noted, niece, so Srivas Pandit's niece, the mother of Thakur Vrindavan Das. So you see how great descendants of Srivas are. The author of Caitanya Bhagavat, Vrindavan Das Thakur, came from the womb of Narayani, and this Narayani is the niece of Srivas Pandit. So was the sister of Ambika. So Narayani was the sister of Ambika in Krishna Leela. So sister of that nurse. You see how who would know these secrets? Who is who and what? Unless one is empowered by the Lord, and Krishna is speaking through these devotees. Now, although Kavi Karnapur is the one who wrote this book, but of course it is inspired by Krishna. You cannot be a personal world and write something like this out of your own imagination. These are not imaginative, just making up something. No. These are all spoken by the Lord to the devotees. Just like Prabhupada said, my books, these are not my books, these are Krishna's books. Krishna was dictating, I was writing, that's it. So that is the pure devotee's level of writing. So, continuing on, we also understand from the description of Sri Caitanya Bhagavat that after Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's acceptance of the sannyas order, Srivas Pandit left Navadvip, possibly because of feelings of separation, and domiciled at Kumarhat. So, if you remember, I don't know if you know this, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu started the whole Sankirtan movement, the Hare Krishna Mahamantra, the Yuga Dharma for this age, in the house of Srivas Pandit. Srivas Angan. Now also you can go and see in Navadvip, Mayapur. Srivas Angan. So that is where Chaitanya Mahaprabhu inaugurated the Sankirtan movement. And he used to sing this Hari Haraye Nama Krishna Yadavaya Namaha Gopala Govindaram Sri Madhusudana. So Yadavaya Madhavaya Keshavaya Namaha, that was written by Narottam Das Thakur. But actually, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu used to sing the first line of the first stanza and the first line of the second stanza. Hari Haraya Nama Krishna Yadavaya Namaha Gopala Govinda Ram Sri Madhusudana. So in Mayapur they sing like that also. So just Narottam Das Thakur took that line and immortalized it in his song to remember the inauguration of the Sankirtan movement and in the Srivas Angan, that whole pastime of the Lord. So to keep that memory alive, What is this? Hari Haraya Nama coming tomorrow, Haribol. What is that? Is it a video being... Oh, I think the Vaishnava song we did. Is that the one? I don't know. So, Srivas Angan. So that is where the whole Yuga Dharma inaugurated. So Srivas Thakur, Narad Muni who came as Srivas Thakur, fully he's the leader of the devotees, Srivasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda, and the whole thing started there also. So it's a very, very significant. Vaishnava song rendition. Okay, yeah, I think that Vaishnava songs episode, I think. Alright, so Shripati Srinidhi Tar Doi Sahodar Chari Bhair Dāsa Dāsi Griha Parikar. So apparently they had two more brothers. They are two brothers. So Srivas Pandit, Sriram Pandit, Shripati and Srinidhi. The two brothers were named Sripati and Srinidhi. These four brothers and their servants and maid servants are considered one big branch. These four brothers and their servants and maid servants are considered one big branch. Dui Shakhar Upashakhaye Taraganan Jar Grihe Mahaprabhur Sada Sankirtan. There is no counting the sub-branches of these two branches. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu held congregational chanting daily at the house of Srivas Pandit. So unlimited sub-branches from these two branches. Jar Grihe Mahaprabhur Sada Sankirtan. Chari bhai savamshe kore Chaitanya ra seva Gaurachandra vina nahi jane devi deva. These four brothers and their family members fully engaged in the service of Lord Chaitanya. They knew no other god or goddess. So this is, what is that? Mamekam Sharanam Vraja. So no other, god or goddess. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu just. So purport, Srila Narottam Das Thakur has said, Anya Devashray Nai, Tomare Kohinu Bhai, Ei Bhakti Parama Karan. I don't know what this song is actually. Anya Devashray Nai, Tomare Kohinu Bhai, Ei Bhakti Parama Karan. Can somebody find out this song? We need to learn that song and maybe sing in one of the Srimad Bhagavatam classes in the Vaishnava song time. So, if one wants to become a pure, staunch devotee, one should not take shelter of any of the demigods or goddesses. So, before we go further, there is this verse. Four 29:45 of Srimad Bhagavatam. शब्द ब्रह्मणि दुष्पारे चरंत उरुविस्तरे मंत्रलिंगैर्व्यवच्छिन्नं भजन्तो न विदुः परम्. I hope this is the one. Okay. Vyavacchinnam, partially powerful, the demigods. Okay, see. Despite the cultivation of Vedic knowledge, which is unlimited, and the worship of different demigods by the symptoms of the Vedic mantras, demigod worship does not help one to understand the supreme powerful personality of Godhead. Demigod worship does not help one to understand the supreme powerful personality of Godhead. So, Yavacchinnam. So, of course, we have other verses in Bhagavad Gita as well. But going back, foolish Mayavadis say that worshipping demigods is as good as worshipping the Supreme Personality of Godhead, but that is not a fact. This philosophy misleads people to atheism. One who has no idea what God actually is thinks that any form he imagines or any rascal he accepts can be God. This acceptance of cheap gods or incarnations of God is actually atheism, because I am saying that this lowly person, this conditioned soul, is God. So I am totally deriding God there. So that is atheism. If I don't accept the word of God and I accept some rascal as God, that is atheism. So it is to be concluded, therefore, that those who worship demigods or self-proclaimed incarnations of God are all atheists, and Mayavadis are also atheists. They have lost their knowledge as confirmed in Bhagavad Gita 7.20. Kamaistaistar hritagnyana prapadyante anya devatah. Those whose knowledge has been stolen by material desires surrender unto demigods. Unfortunately, those who do not cultivate Krishna consciousness and do not properly understand the Vedic knowledge accept any rascal to be an incarnation of God, and they are of the opinion that one can become an incarnation simply by worshipping a demigod. Yeah. This philosophical hodgepodge exists under the name of the Hindu religion, but the Krishna consciousness movement does not approve of it. Indeed, we strongly condemn it. Such worship of demigods and so-called incarnations of God should never be confused with the pure Krishna consciousness movement. Now, very important, because just today I watched a video of this Ramakrishna Math sannyasi, and he was talking on Dvaita and Advaita. So I saw, okay, what is their arguments? So first he explained Dvaita, And when he was explaining Dvaita, he made a lot of sense. But sometimes he criticized it. That was foolish of him. But especially when he started to speak of Advaita, absolutely no sense. Complete hodgepodge, and he was contradicting himself, and he just made a fool out of himself. But he masked it in such a way that it looked something scholarly. To the foolish people, it looked very scholarly, it looked very, very, level headed, very advanced and mature. He was trying to say that, oh, I don't hate Dvaita, that is also a path, this is also a path, that is also, everything is goes. He is just, and worshipping of demigods, he was saying clearly, Aham Brahmasmi, I am the Supreme Brahma. Then why can you answer the question that why did you fall down if you are supreme? That means avidya is greater than Brahma. What are you talking about? How come you became overpowered by that avidya? What is this nonsense? So they can't answer simple questions, and it doesn't make any sense, but they think they are talking a lot of sense. They juggle words like anything. Yatamat tathapat. He was quoting that. Yatamat tathapat. And he's saying this is the supreme revelation of this Ramakrishna. He says Dvaita is okay, Advaita is okay, everything is okay. Everything is part of the same, and very, very foolish. I mean, the whole thing was no wonder Chaitanya Mahaprabhu said Mayavadi Bhashya Sunile Hoy Sarvanash. These guys are idiots, complete idiots. So actually, why I watched that, because we want to see what are their arguments today. Like we have seen from Prabhupada's explanations and how Mayavadis talk and how they consider and how they explain things, how they misrepresent the Vedas. So I just wanted to see if he does the same thing. So he was doing the same thing as what Prabhupada was saying, and sometimes his argument was even weaker than what Prabhupada mentioned. So the Shankaracharya followers are very rigid on Advaita. They don't accept the Dvaita. But he was he was flexible. So so he was actually easier than the Shankaracharya followers to deal with, because easily we can catch him, because he was contradicting himself everywhere. So anyway, because we wanted to make videos on this subject, we want to make series on Sanatana Dharma and deconstructing all these different fallacious philosophies. And so for these reasons, so what are their today's philosophical explanations? So that's what I wanted to see what they will come up with. So it was horrible. I mean, it was very, very foolish. So, but we have to actually present Sanatana Dharma in the truest form. And here you see, we strongly condemn it. You see, hodgepodge, this philosophical hodgepodge exists under the name of the Hindu religion, but the Krishna consciousness movement does not approve of it. Indeed, we strongly condemn it. Nowadays, it seems Subala Prabhu told me today that one of the ISKCON preachers, and today this is the way the so-called preachers are acting in ISKCON. If somebody asks a kind of a little bit controversial question about another philosophy, they say, okay, we don't want to talk about it much, we can maybe talk privately or something. Why? Why are you afraid to be controversial? As long as you stand with the truth and you can stand by it and prove your stance, why you should be afraid? Tell it out. So we should be strongly condemning it. So we have to be systematically, we have to deconstruct all these people, completely prove them false. That is also a very essential part of the service. So I think the whole song is Prema Bhakti Chandrika Narottam Das Thakur. So there is a song. So I think here is that quote. Oh, Shri Guru Vandana song. Actually, Guru Vandana is only the 4. Actually, the song's name is something else. The first 4 verses of that song is Guru Vandana, but after that it goes on. Bhagavad Shastra Marma Navavidha Bhakti Dharma Sadai Koribo Susevana Anya Devashray Nai Tomare Kohilo Bhai Ei Bhakti Param Bhajan. I shall eternally engage in the ninefold process of devotional service, which is the essential message of Srimad Bhagavatam, and I shall not worship the demigods. O brother, I say to you, devotional service is the most exalted kind of worship. But it does not disrespect the demigods either. So, it should not be. If you disrespect, there is an offense. But if you worship them, there is also an offense. आचार्य रत्न नाम धरे बड़ एक शाखा तार परे कर तार शाखा उपशाखा. Another big branch was Acharya Ratna and his associates were sub branches. So who's Acharya Ratna? Sri Chandrasekhar Acharya. So Acharya Ratner naam Sri Chandrasekhar jar ghare devi bhave nachila Ishwar. Devi bhave as the goddess. So, translation: Acharya Ratna was also named Sri Chandrasekhar Acharya. In a drama in his house, Lord Chaitanya played the goddess of fortune. So there used to be dramatic performance. So you can see the purport actually. Dramatic performances were enacted during the presence of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, but the players who took part in such dramas were all pure devotees. No outsiders were allowed. The members of ISKCON should follow this example. Whenever they stage dramatic performances about the lives of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu or Lord Krishna, the players must be pure devotees. Professional players and dramatic actors have no sense of devotional service, and therefore, although they can perform very artistically, there is no life in such performances. Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur used to refer to such an actor as Yatra Dale Narad, which means farcical Narad. Sometimes an actor in a drama plays the part of Narad Muni, although in his private life he is not at all like Narad Muni because he is not a devotee. Such actors are not needed in dramatic performances about the lives of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and Lord Krishna. So, very interesting, instructive verse. Instructive purport. We'll read the whole thing and then explain a little bit about it. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu used to perform dramas with Advaita Prabhu, Srivas Thakur and other devotees in the house of Chandrasekhar. The place where Chandrasekhar's house was situated is now known as Vrajapattan. Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur established the Sri Chaitanya Math at this place. When Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu decided to accept the renounced order of life, Chandrasekhar Acharya was informed of this by Sri Nityananda Prabhu, and therefore he was present when Lord Chaitanya accepted sannyas from Keshav Bharati in Katwa. It is he who first spread the word in Navadvip of Lord Chaitanya's accepting sannyas. Sri Chandrasekhar Acharya was present during many important incidents in the pastimes of Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. He therefore forms second branch of the tree of Lord Chaitanya. Now, regarding these dramatic performances, here it is said Yatra Dale Narad. In the Yatra Dale Narad. Okay. So, this is what. One second. Okay. So, regarding the dramatic performances. So, Srila Prabhupada gave a very important instruction in this connection, that because we were doing dramatic performances just like, we were enjoying it and all, but, it is a great service, and I did not quite instruction. Kirtans to a lot of newer generation devotees, 24. Yeah, so Nishita Mataji is saying a lot of newer generation devotees and 24/7, 24-hour Kirtan players are musicians first, devotees second. Yeah, unfortunately, so that's how it is becoming right now. So, Kirtaniyas or dramatic performances must be done by devotees. It is not about the artistic. We're not into, our movement is not whether ISKM got talent, this Britain's got talent and America's. We're not into ISKM's got talent. No. Devotion. Krishna sees, doesn't see whether we have talent or not. He sees whether we have devotion. So, Bhavagrahi, Janardhan. So, dramatic performances should be done by devotees. And Prabhupada gave very good instruction in this, very, very profound instruction. When we read Shravan, Prabhupada's books, we understand some things, and some things we don't retain in our understanding. Some things we remember very vividly, some things not so vividly. But when we start speaking, when we start to repeat what we have heard in preaching, in talking to others, in lecturing, or even book distribution, or just in conversations, when we speak to outsiders or devotees what we have understood. So when we are speaking, we have to understand what we are saying. Unless and until we understand what we are saying, we can't. How to speak on a subject matter which I don't understand? So I have to understand. It's a prerequisite. So of course I can speak only as much as I understand. So if I say something which I don't understand, and somebody questions that and I can't answer, then that's not a proper way of, because I heard it somewhere, I'm just saying, but I don't understand what I'm saying. So that shouldn't be the way. I should understand what I'm saying, right? But dramas take it to even further level. So Prabhupada said that when you say, for example, Ramachandra Bhagwan, Ram Navami, we used to have Ramachandra pastimes drama. Every year we have dramas. Actually we used to have dramas every Sunday in the Sunday program. After the class was drama, and then only prasadam every Sunday. And we used to have rehearsals, just like 1 or 2 rehearsals, and we go. We had no time to do rehearsals every single day. So we will pick up a pastime, and then we rehearse. We read up a bit, read up on the pastime, and then rehearse on a Friday, and then Sunday we deliver. We just make up and dress ourselves and then deliver. So, so an important thing is just for example, Ramachandra pastime. When we read Ramayana, it is very gripping storyline. But when we have to act, like this was my experience. So when I have to act like Ramachandra Bhagwan, and especially we do every year that scene where Sita is kidnapped by Ravan, and then Lord Ram is in complete anguish in search of Mother Sita, and then they meet the Vanaras and everything, the battle happens and everything. So of course it's fast forwarded a lot because we have to put it up in 1 hour, the entire thing. But especially that scene, for me, it is very difficult for me to act on a stage, and because Ram has to be very, very gripped with a lot of anguish, and he cries and he feels the whole world is lost, and he behaves like a madman. Of course, it's out of ecstatic separation internally, but externally he's showing how if you're attached to your wife too much, that's you're going to be suffering. So anyway, so I have to show that. I have to cry, and I have to like plaintively cry. It's very difficult to do that. So, but the thing is, to get into that mood and to convince the audience that actually Ram is crying, because if I don't even feel like I'm crying, the audience will see through it. I have to really live the character. So I read that section, every single word, every single sentence I hang on to completely understand the mood and get into the mood. So, and by Ramachandra's mercy, Prabhupada's mercy, devotees' mercy, came out well, decent, at least. So that is a different level of realization. So when Prabhupada said, when you actually enact in the drama, then you not only just have to understand from a third person's perspective, but when you actually act like that, then you really feel what Ram was. Of course you can't feel at his level, but you really have to think about getting into that character. So you really have to think about the Ram's feelings. So it is a much more intense absorption in the pastimes of the Lord, and that is the exercise that will purify the dramatic performer. To meditate on the pastimes and the feelings of the Lord, how much the Lord was. Okay, that is the anguish, but again, everything else. So you have to really get into the mood of the character. So that is that facilitates a lot of meditation, a very deep meditation. You got to really read again and again. I that's what I used to do when I had to do a drama. I will read that portion of that pastime again and again, and try to live it. Even when I'm not doing the rehearsal, I just try to mentally rehearse. So that is meditation, you see. So that facilitates meditation, deep absorption. You constantly think of the Lord's pastimes like that. That is actually an even greater depth of absorption than just speaking about them from a third man's perspective, third person's perspective. So, so that is, Prabhupada said this. So that is very important. That's why dramas are not just of course, for the outsiders it's entertainment, but actually for the devotees, it's a great devotional exercise. And in the form of entertainment, they also teach very valuable lessons. So classes sometimes used to be heavy, but dramas are a little more entertaining format, but they also teach a lot of lessons. So we have to take these dramatic performances also seriously, as a serious service, as much as we do classes. It's not just some entertainment or something like that. It has to be instructive and everything. And it should, the audience should feel the devotion to Krishna after watching the drama. So that's how it should be. Of course, we can improve our dramatic performances there's a huge room for improvement, but after I have read that letter of Prabhupada about dramatic performances, we haven't done that many dramas actually, so in the future when we start back again, I think we should, I don't know when we should start back. We used to have a lot of crew actually. A lot of us were there at the time. Now it's like a bare bones crew now. So anyway, we will have to work on that. Whoever is here, then we have to. Actually, now also we have devotees. We can engage them. Yeah, Suchandra Prabhu is one of the veterans. Looking forward to post-COVID time with no crowd restrictions, more good dramas. Yeah, we should do that. So alright, so that's about the dramas. So Chaitanya Mahaprabhu himself used to act. And see one more thing, he acted as Lakshmi Devi. In one of the dramas, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu acted as Lakshmi Devi. So in other words, even female characters were portrayed by male characters. Not that female and male all together they enacted in the dramas. So then because other things will happen. Let's be very honest. Like that Ramayana series, Ramanand Sagar. In that, the Ram, Lakshman, Hanuman, all Sita and everybody was there. The serial was going on, but the person who acted as Lakshman fell in love with the person who acted as Sita. In real life. So, so things can happen. So too close proximity and all. So that's the reason why in Vaishnava dramas the female character is also played by male. And we have also played few female roles way back in the start. I don't think there is any. There used to be one photo of me in a girl's dress, by the way. Embarrassing, but yeah. And Vrajakishore acted as a woman also, and a few others. I think Suchandra Prabhu acted as Putana. So yeah, it was a lot of fun actually. So yeah, so that's how it's done, But honestly, we never pulled off, we hardly pulled off a female role properly. Very few could do it properly. Mm, you know, usually the devotees are not inclined to do female role. You see. So anyway, going down. So Nishita Mataji made a good point there. Kirtaniyas also have to be devotees first, not nowadays the so-called Gurukulis they call themselves, those who studied in the Gurukul of ISKCON, and then now they are mostly like punks basically. Just that they are very very talented musically in singing and the instruments, but devotee wise, you ask them a simple question about what is kirtan, what is the philosophy, they will just break up, they will just fall apart in seconds. And their character is not fully, like, they don't follow the principles strongly and everything. So that has to be that has to be done by devotees. And that's the other thing. Yome bhaktya prayachati. Whenever we offer to Krishna, whatever is offered with devotion, that matters. I mean, that he accepts, right? So, what does that mean actually? Suddenly, when I'm offering, I say, Krishna, please take this, please. Is that devotion? That's not devotion. And other times, I'm just like a hodgepodge, complete nonsense, and doing all kind of rubbish. No. It's not the feeling, some imaginative feeling you're bringing out while you're offering. That is devotion. No. Offered with devotion means in our life, we have to be a devotee. We have to be a sincere devotee, following the footsteps of the Acharya and then in the company of other devotees. And we ourselves being sincere in the whole process of wanting to advance. So one's life must be a devotee. It's not just some devotion, some ecstatic feeling. Krishna, please accept something like this. No. That's not offering with devotion. Offering with devotion means chant his name. Prabhupada said, but first be devoted to the devotee first. So he said chant 16 rounds. So chant 16 rounds first. Follow the 4 principles. So these things must be done. So one's life should be molded in such a way that he is always thinking of Krishna and acting for Krishna. Everything is for Krishna. So that is devotee. Then when one offers to Krishna, of course through the spiritual master again, we are not perfect devotees, at least I am not. So we are very very beginning of this, full of faults and everything. So we have to offer it through the Srila Prabhupada. So that is the proper method. Alright, so पुंडरीक विद्या निधि बड़ शाखा जानी जार नाम लया प्रभु कांदिला आपने. So this Pundarik Vidyanidhi, his place is in Bangladesh. Pundarik Vidyanidhi, the third big branch. Wow, actually we don't hear that much about Pundarik Vidyanidhi, but was so dear to Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu that in his absence Lord Chaitanya himself would sometimes cry. Wow. So we don't know much about Pundarik Vidyanidhi's life, why he is so dear to Lord Chaitanya and what is his pastimes with Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and all these things. I don't know much. So purport, in the Gaur Ganodesh Deepika 54th verse, Srila Pundarik Vidyanidhi is described as the father of Srimati Radharani in Krishna Leela. Vrishabhanu. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu therefore treated him as his father. Okay. Pundarik Vidyanidhi's father was known as Baneshwar, or according to another opinion, Shuklambar Brahmachari, and his mother's name was Ganga Devi. According to one opinion, Baneshwar was a descendant of Sri Shivaram Gangopadhyay. The original home of Pundarik Vidyanidhi was in East Bengal, now Bangladesh, in a village near Dhaka named Baghia, which belonged to the Varendra group of Brahman families. Sometimes these Varendra Brahmanas were at odds with another group known as Radhiya Brahmanas, and Therefore, Pundarik Vidyanidhi's family was ostracized and at that time was not living as a respectable family. Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur writes in his Anubhashya, quote, one of the members of this family is living in Vrindavan and his name is named Sarojananda Goswami. One special characteristic of this family is that each of its members had only one son or no son at all, and therefore the family was not very expansive. There is a place in the district of Chattogram in East Bengal or Bangladesh that is known as Hath Hajari, and a short distance from this place is a village known as Mekhala Gram, in which Pundarik Vidyanidhi's forefathers lived. One can approach Mekhala Gram from Chattogram either on horseback, by bullock cart, or by steamer. The steamer station is known as Annapurnar Ghat. The birthplace of Pundarik Vidyanidhi is about 2 miles southwest of Annapurnar Ghat. The temple constructed there by Pundarik Vidyanidhi is now very old and much in need of repair. Without repair, the temple may soon crumble. There are 2 inscriptions on the bricks of that temple, but they are so old that one cannot read them. There is another temple, however, about 200 yards south of this one, and some people say that this is the old temple constructed by Pundarik Vidyanidhi, unquote. So, you see how Prabhupada refers to that place as East Bengal. Because you see, this was in 1970s when this Chaitanya Charitamrita was written, and Bangladesh got its independence in 1971. So if you understand the political history, so you will understand why Prabhupada did not mention it as Bangladesh. Although, so Adilila, I don't know which year actually he was writing the Adilila. Maybe somebody can find out. I think the last chapter, I don't know if the last chapter of the Adilila, is there any reference like when it was completed or something like that? No. So I don't know if which time. So it was roughly around that time when the whole political upheaval was going on in Bangladesh, and it was actually East Pakistan when Prabhupada was at the time. This time it was East Pakistan, but Prabhupada never mentioned it as East Pakistan. He mentioned it as East Bengal because actually it was also known as East Bengal, West Bengal, and East Bengal. That's how it was prior to the independence, and Prabhupada was in that era. You see. So that's why he referred to it as East Bengal, but actually now Bangladesh in the brackets they put. I think that was added much later maybe. Now of course it's known as Bangladesh, a well-established country. But yeah, so that we can understand something about that political situation at that time. So there's another temple. Okay, this we have read. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu called Pundarik Vidyanidhi father, and he gave him the title Premanidhi. Pundarik Vidyanidhi later became the spiritual master of Gadadhar Pandit and an intimate friend of Swarup Damodar's. Okay. And Gadadhar Pandit initiated Vallabhacharya as well. So Vallabha Sampradaya is connected to our Sampradaya actually in this way. An intimate friend of Swarup Damodar's. Okay, Pundarik Vidyanidhi. Gadadhar Pandit at first misunderstood Pundarik Vidyanidhi to be an ordinary pounds and shillings man, but later, upon being corrected by Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, Gadadhar Pandit became his disciple. Oh. Is he the one who was being fanned or something? Anyway, I can get stories wrong. So anyway, let's continue. Another incident in the life of Pundarik Vidyanidhi involves his criticizing the priest of the Jagannath temple, for which Jagannath Prabhu chastised him personally by slapping his cheeks. This is described in Sri Chaitanya Bhagavat Antya Khanda, chapter 10. Chaitanya Bhagavat Antya Khanda, chapter 10. Sri Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur informs us that during this time there were still 2 living descendants of the family of Pundarik Vidyanidhi who were named Sri Harakumar Smriti Tirtha and Sri Krishna Kinkar Vidyalankar. For further information, one should refer to the dictionary known as Vaishnava Manjusha. So Jagannath slapped his cheeks. I think his cheeks became very, very swollen or something like this. I don't know if that is the correct story. Need to go to Chaitanya Bhagavat Antakhanda, chapter 10. So I think with these little references, we can actually get a little bit of understanding of Pundarik Vidyanidhi. Maybe there is more description in the Chaitanya Bhagavat. Because our magazine used to have Vaishnava Saints section. So we need to include many Vaishnava Saints actually. We did not do the magazine for almost 2 years. Actually more than 2 years. And now we've started back again. And the Vaishnava Saint section has not revived yet. So that needs to be revived. So anyway. बड़ शाखा गदाधर पंडित गोसाय तेहो लक्ष्मी रूपा तारत समके होनाय. Gadadhar Pandit, the fourth branch, is described as an incarnation of the pleasure potency of Sri Krishna. No one therefore can equal him. Lakshmi Rupa, incarnation of the pleasure potency of. So here is mentioned Lakshmi Rupa, but other places it mentioned as Radharani. Okay, purport. In the Gaur Ganodesh Deepika 147 through 153, is it? Or 53, what is it? It is stated Sri Krishna's pleasure potency, formerly known as Vrindavaneshwari, is now personified in the form of Sri Gadadhar Pandit in the pastimes of Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Sri Swarup Damodar Goswami has pointed out that in the shape of Lakshmi, the pleasure potency of Krishna, she was formerly very dear to the Lord as Shyamasundar Vallabha. The same Shyamasundar Vallabha is now present in Lord Chaitanya's pastimes as Gadadhar Pandit. Formerly as Lalita Sakhi, she was always devoted to Srimati Radharani. Thus, Gadadhar Pandit is simultaneously an incarnation of Srimati Radharani and Lalita Sakhi. In the 12th chapter of this part of the Chaitanya Charitamrita, there is a description of the descendants of or disciplic succession of Gadadhar Pandit. So, this is also possible. One personality is the incarnation of two separate personalities. And you see, in Krishna Lila it is female, but here male. That is also. Jagadananda Pandit, he is Satyabhama, but here he is a male. So that also can happen. What to speak of Narada being a brahmachari, but in the Srivas he was Grihastha, Srivas incarnation. So, what to speak of change of ashram, change of gender also. So that's why, our real soul's Swarup is nothing to do with the external manifestation. So anything is possible. तार शिष्य उपशिष्य तार उपशाखा एमत सब शाखा उपशाखार लेखा. His disciples and grand disciples are his sub branches. To describe them all would be difficult. So that is Pundarik Vidyanidhi. Vakreshwar Pandit Prabhur Bada Priya Bhritya Ek Bhave 26 Prahar Jar Nritya. 24. Wow. Look at that. Vakreshwar Pandit. In that song, Vakreshwar Pranadhana hai. I don't know what the deities of his are in that song. So Vakreshwar Pandit, the fifth branch of the tree, was a very dear servant of Lord Chaitanya's. He could dance with constant ecstasy for 72 hours. 26 Prahar. You know what is Prahar? Prahar means 3 hours. So one full day is Ashtaprahar. Ashtaprahar means 8 Praharas. 8 times 3, 24 hours. 26 Prahar. Yar Nritya. He could dance for 72 hours continuously. My Krishna. Whew. our devotees either don't chant or don't dance. If start dancing, forget to sing. Fully dancing. Dancing. Arey, Harinam, where is Harinam? You've forgotten Harinam. You're dancing for what? So, must sing and dance. Congregational singing and dancing. Arey? If singing, then dancing is forgotten. If dancing, singing is forgotten. What kind of Sankirtan movement is this? The leader, the Kirtan leader is singing, and then after that, no sound. I just get very angry like that. What is this? Sankirtan means everybody must chant with full heart and, what is that? Urdhva Bahu. Raise the hand like Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, Nityananda Prabhu, how they are, so dance, nicely. So, see Vakreshwar Pandit, 72 hours, continuous dancing. Wow. Our devotees are all Sthavar devotees. Sthavar means trees, Trees don't move. They are firmly rooted to the ground. So similarly, I think next time if somebody doesn't dance, I think we have to put like a crucifixion, like put a nail, dung 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 into the floor. So the foot of the devotee should be like hit. Nail should be hit into the floor. Okay, you be here only. Sthavara. Manu Prabhu is asking some questions, so I will get back to your questions. Purport. Oh. What is happening? Okay. Purport. In the Gaur Ganodesh Deepika 71st verse, it is stated that Vakreshwar Pandit was an incarnation of Aniruddha, one of the quadruple expansions of Vishnu. No wonder he can dance for 72 hours. He can dance for eternity. Okay. So, one of the quadruple expansions of Vishnu, Vasudeva, Sankarsana, Aniruddha and Pradyumna. He could dance wonderfully for 72 continuous hours. When Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu played in dramatic performances in the house of Srivas Pandit, Vakreshwar Pandit was one of the chief dancers and he danced continuously for that length of time. Sri Govinda Das, an Oriya devotee of Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, Govinda Das, I think that song Bhajahure Mana Sri Nandanandana, I think that is by Govinda Das, right? So he is an Oriya devotee. Sri Govinda Das, an Oriya devotee of Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, has described the life of Vakreshwar Pandit in his Bora Krishnodaya. There are many disciples of Vakreshwar Pandit in Orissa and they are known as Gaudiya Vaishnavas, although they are Oriyas. Gaudiya means usually, of course, Gaudiya means Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, but Gaudadesh, so usually Bengal and all that. Bengali devotees, but Oriyas. So actually, it's an interesting thing in Chaitanya Charitamrita and everywhere. There's not much mention of Oriya devotees of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Of course, we have Ramananda Rai, we have Pratap Rudra and Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya, who's all there. But, other Oriya devotees, they're not much. Bengal devotees, yes, they used to come every Rath Yatra and so much information is there about Bengali devotees, but Oriya devotees looks like this Gaur Krishnodaya book by Govinda Das. Maybe there is some more information about Oriya devotees. Because Chaitanya Mahaprabhu took sannyas and he was in Jagannath Puri as a sannyasi in Odisha, for 17 years. Or rather, for 17 continuous years he was there. So he must have had a lot of association with Oriya devotees. So anyway, among these disciples are Sri Gopal Guru and his disciple Sri Dhyana Chandra Goswami. आपने महाप्रभु गाए जार नृत्य काले प्रभुर चरण धोरि वक्रेश्वर बोले. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu personally sang while Vakreshwar Pandit danced, and thus Vakreshwar Pandit fell at the lotus feet of the Lord and spoke as follows. Dasha sahasra gandharva more deho chandra mukha Tara gaye mui nacho tabe mor sukha. O Chandramukha, please give me 10,000 Gandharvas. Let them sing as I dance, and then I will be greatly happy. Purport. The Gandharvas who are residents of Gandharvaloka are celebrated as celestial singers. Whenever singing is needed in the celestial planets, the Gandharvas are invited to sing. The Gandharvas can sing continuously for days, and therefore Vakreshwar Pandit wanted to dance as they sang. So these are Gandharvas. Whenever any singing was needed, Gandharvas used to sing and play musical instruments as well, and Apsaras used to dance as well. Now, they are not just like professional dancers, a dance troupe, a music orchestra, something like that. They were actually devotees as well. And Narad Muni, in his previous life, he was one of the Gandharvas. And he became a Shudrani's son next life, and that's where he got the association of the great devotees. And in the next life, he became Narad Muni. So, why he became a Shudrani's son from Gandharva? Because he was singing songs in the Gandharvaloka. He was a very, very handsome young man, and he was very popular with the women there also. And he was singing songs praising nature, the beauty of nature. They cursed him. What nonsense you are singing! Where is the glorification of the Lord in this? Where? You are not fit to be here, become Shudra, go. And that's how he became Shudrani's son. Why? Because Gandharvalok means not just they are singers, just like professional singers, like. No. They were devotees also. Such devotees that if one of them was singing like this, just praising nature, was not even something else, just nature. Throne, become Shudra, rascal, you don't know anything. So like that, that is Gandharvas. So they were actually devotees. प्रभु बोले तुम्हें मोर पक्ष एक शाखा आकाशे उडिताम जदि आर पाखा. Lord Chaitanya replied, I have only one wing like you, but if I had another, certainly I would fly in the sky. पंडित जगदानंद प्रभुर प्राण रूप लोके ख्यात जय हो सत्य भामार स्वरूप. Pandit Jagadananda, the sixth branch of the Chaitanya tree, was celebrated as the life and soul of the Lord. He is known to have been an incarnation of Satyabhama, one of the chief queens of Lord Krishna. Purport. There are many dealings of Jagadananda Pandit with Lord Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Most importantly, he was the Lord's constant companion and especially took part in all the pastimes of the Lord in the houses of Srivas Pandit and Chandrasekhar Acharya. प्रीत्य करिते चाहे प्रभुर लालन पालन वैराग्य लोक भय प्रभु ना माने कखन. Jagadananda Pandit, this was Jagadananda Pandit's mood, Jagadananda Pandit, as an incarnation of Satyabhama, always wanted to see to the comfort of Lord Chaitanya, but since the Lord was a sannyasi, he did not accept the luxuries that Jagadananda Pandit offered. दुई जने खटमटे लगाए कंदल तार प्रीत्यर कथा आगे कहिब सकल. They sometimes appeared to fight over trifles, but these quarrels were based on their affection, of which I shall speak later. So this was one of the moods of prominent mood of Jagadananda Pandit, because Satyabhama also was like that with Krishna. Everything she gets upset. Like a typical female jealousy she used to have for Rukmini and other devotees, other queens. So she wanted always the best or something like that. But it was all transcendental. It's not just like an ordinary woman. Even Radharani and the what is that? Chandravali, the competitor of Radharani, the other group of Sakhis. So they also have this constant competition. And there is womanly, female jealousy and all that. They also have, but it's all transcendental. Now, in this material world, such things are there, but here it becomes very material and very obnoxious. But in the transcendental realm, it increases the transcendental pleasure there. So, Satyabhama always used to be like that with Krishna. And Jagadananda Pandit carried the same mood. They sometimes appear to fight over trifles, but these quarrels were based on their affection, of which I shall speak later. So there are pastimes of this as well. Raghav Pandit. Raghav Pandit Prabhu Radhya Anuchar Tar Eka Shakha Mukhya Makaradhvajakar. Raghav Pandit, Lord Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's original follower, is understood to have been the seventh branch. From him proceeded another sub-branch headed by Makaradhvajakar. Kara was the surname of Makaradhvaj. At present, this surname is generally found in the Kayastha community. The Gaur Ganodesh Deepika 166 states, Dhanishtha Bhakshya Samagrim Krishnayadad Vrajemitam Saiva Samprati Gauranga Priyo Raghava Panditah. Raghav Pandit was formerly a confidential gopi in Vraja during the time of Lord Krishna's pastimes, and his former name was Dhanishtha. This gopi Dhanishtha always engaged in preparing foods for Krishna. Yes, Bhog Samagri. So next verse will be showing that. Yeah. There used to be Raghaver Jhali. You know. Let's go to the next verse. Tahar bhagini damayanti prabhur. Tahar bhagini damayanti prabhur priya dasi. Prabhur bhoga samagri jay kare varamasi. Yes, Damayanti. Yes, so Bhagini, sister. So Raghav Pandit's sister is Damayanti. And Raghav Pandit's sister Damayanti was the dear maidservant of the Lord. She always collected various ingredients with which to cook for Lord Chaitanya. So this is where Raghaver Jhali used to come. So let's see if that is mentioned here. Purport. Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur writes in his Anubhashya, quote, in the Gauraganodesh Deepika 167 it is mentioned Gunamala Vraje Yasid Damayanti tu Tat Svasa. The gopi named Gunamala appeared as Raghav Pandit's sister Damayanti. Okay, now only I know who is Gunamala. Gopi. There is one Gunamala in Philippines. So the gopi named Gunamala appeared as Raghav Pandit's sister Damayanti. On the East Bengal railway line beginning from the Sealdah station in Calcutta, there is a station named Sodapur, which is not very far from Calcutta. Within 1 mile of the station toward the western side of the Ganges is a village known as Panihati, in which the residential quarters of Raghav Pandit still exist. Wow. See, we don't know these things. You see, we land in Calcutta or Kolkata now, and then go straight to Mayapur. But actually, if we can go to Panihati and Sodapur and all these things, we can go and see the residential quarters of Raghav Pandit, which still exist here. You're saying on Raghav Pandit's tomb is a creeper on a concrete platform. That is also mentioned. There is a creeper. Is a creeper on a concrete platform. There is also a Madan Mohan deity in a broken down temple nearby. This temple is managed by a local zamindar of the name Sri Shivachandra Rai Chaudhary. Makaradhvajakara was also an inhabitant of Panihati. Panihati Chidadahi Utsav. So that is done in Panihati. Raghunath Das Goswami is this thing. So these things we have to visit actually, honestly. We have to note down all these things. That's one of my projects which I want to do. Note down all these things. Maybe somebody have already done, but if I do myself, it will be a little more fulfilling, because when I go through these texts and then all these things are mentioned, and then all these things have to be noted down, we have more connection with the whole thing. Otherwise, this is Raghav Pandit, this is Pundarik Vidyanidhi, you don't know who they are. So if you know these texts and then take note and then go there, and then we can tell the devotees about this is the story, or this is the. So we have some, attraction for that place, because we know what it is and who is there and what. If I just take a guidebook. I have a problem with guidebooks, in holy places. They state the places. Okay, this is the place, this is the place, but the way I would like to see a guidebook is that, okay, this is the place, and this is the place of this person, and then the references of Chaitanya Charitamrita or Bhagavatam or whatever, or at least, even if you don't give the whole reference of that, at least point to that, so that I can do some reading on that personality, that place, that significance, or some pastimes that happened there, so that I can connect those two, and then I can read up on them, and I can better appreciate the place where I go to, instead of just like a map and then all the places just strewn all over. Okay, we'll go all this all around. Okay, this place is this place is this, and that's it. I go all the place and come out and I don't know anything about any place, and then it doesn't really feel so good. So we should know. Again, it comes down to the point of same thing, being a Hare Krishna Buddhu. So we have to know, even if we go into a pilgrimage, we have to know where we're going and what is this place, what is the significance. And we have to plan that all ahead. So that's how I would like it to be. Vaishnava pilgrimage tour guidebook. That's how I like it to be. And I want to build one for myself. A personal, just a reference copy of all these things. So that's I was just thinking about it. I never done anything about it, but I just feel like doing it. That's all. Why I'm saying this, because if any of you, so I can just share this idea, so if any of you also want to do, it's good to have these kind of things, Why Chaitanya Mahaprabhu made the Goswamis to excavate all the pastime places of Krishna in the Vrindavan. So, because it's important, for especially neophyte devotees like us, we have to visit and we take other devotees and all this kind of, and then understand all these places and everything. Not that we have to go there like a Buddhu and then we don't know what is the significance of this place. Just go there and eat nicely, and then go and make some exercise. Like Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur, he used to say that looking at the deity is just eye exercise for the eyes, that's all. If you don't understand the philosophy, if you don't understand the deity, if you don't understand Krishna and the entire philosophy, and if you just look at the deity without any understanding, like a Buddhu, that is just eye exercise. Similarly, I would just extrapolate that same thing. Maybe he would have already said it, but based on that understanding, going to pilgrimage is just Tirthayatra Parishram Kevalam Anirbhram. I mean, it will just be an exercise for the legs, probably, an exercise for the pockets. Some of the pockets will be empty because you have to spend money to go there and go around. But if we understand the significance and really meditate, see, all our activities should end up in meditation on the Lord. So if we go to the holy places, then we have to connect it with the Lord and then engage in the service as well. If we have an opportunity for service there and the book distribution, we can do that. But also we have to know what these places are and then look at those, go and visit those places with understanding. Anything that we do in our Krishna consciousness must be done with understanding. Otherwise, why are we doing it? Our bhav is somewhere else. Like I always say this example. When we went to Jagannath Puri, we were staying at a hotel on the Grand Road. It's like a holiday inn or what was it? Like a guest house, tourist guest house. So when we booked the room, and inside that was TV, a big TV, and people would just watch TV there. What is the point? I mean, you're coming to this holy place and you're watching some material, the whole material world being relayed there on the screen, and then you're watching that. What is the purpose? So that's not going to the holy place. Going to the holy place is proper bhava. Yeah, this is. I also remember this verse. Amnaya bhasananya ranya ruditam. In the Mukundamala Stotram. Wait, some kids are shouting here. I don't know. Is it audible to you? The kids shouting behind? Because I want to warn them actually. So, if you go to Mukundamala Stotram, Medas Cheda Phalani Purta Vidhaya Sarvaham Utam Bhasmani. Medas Cheda Phalani. you know, audible. Okay, good. आम्नायाभ्यसनान्यरण्यरुदितं वेदव्रतान्यन्वहं मेदश्छेदफलानि पूर्तविधयः सर्वं हुतं भस्मनि तीर्थानामवगाहनानि च गजस्नानं विना यत्पदा द्वन्द्वम्भोरुह संस्मृतिं विजयते देवः स नारायण. So vedavratani anu aham medaschedaphalani and तीर्थानाम अवगाहनानि च गजस्नानं विना यत्पद द्वन्द्वाम्भोरुह संस्मृतिं विजयते देवः स नारायण. You see, तीर्थानाम अवगाहनानि च गजस्नानं, and what is that other one? Kunjara shauchavat. Kunjara shaucha means the bathing of an elephant. Gajasnana also means the bathing of the elephant. So going to the holy place, dipping in the water and coming out is like an elephant going to the holy place. Huh? No understanding, nothing. And all these Veda vrata, like Chaturmasya vrata, Ekadashi vrata, and what is this? Chandrayan. There is also another vrata is there in the Karmakanda section. Chandrayan means what, the moon, they follow the moon. The moon, as it waxes more and more, like becomes fuller and fuller, they eat more and more and more until the Purnima. And then after that, when the moon wanes, they also decrease with the moon. And the Amavasya, they fast also. And of course, Ekadashi, they fast. So in this way, there is Chandrayan. So there is also another vrata. So all these vratas, these vows, Veda vratanya anvaham. Actually, what is anuaham? What is that? Anuaham, okay. Daily. So daily vows. So these all become meda cheda, of fat removal process. The result of such a thing is fat removal only. No other better this thing. And if you go to Tirthanam and then just bathe, it will just be Gajasnanam. Just putting water and then putting dust again. So if we don't perform these things with Krishna consciousness, with understanding, then it will become just like superficial and then losing fat only. Exercise. Govardhan parikram. Or just Govardhan parikram, okay? Exercise for the legs. That's it. Other than that, nothing. I did not know what I saw, So, I should know what I am seeing and everything. When I am seeing all these things, the meditation should be there in the pastimes of the Lord. See? So, that's the whole point. So, anyway, moving on. शेषव सामग्री जत झालिते भरिया राघव लाइया जान गुपत करिया. So this is what Raghavar Jhali. The foods Damayanti cooked, Raghav Pandit's sister, the foods Damayanti cooked for Lord Chaitanya when he was at Puri were carried in bags. Krishna. When he was at Puri were carried in bags by her brother Raghav without the knowledge of others. Varmasataha Prabhu Korenangikar Raghaver Jhali Boli Prasiddhi Jahar. Raghaver Jhali. The Lord accepted these foods throughout the entire year. Those bags are still celebrated as Raghaver Jhali, the bags of Raghav Pandit. So, she used to make these offerings and then offer it to the Lord, and they are dry prasadam and they will last for very long. So he used to carry those prasadam which will last for very long, and Chaitanya Mahaprabhu will eat that all year round. So like that. And of course she makes more and more every time. I think each will last few months or I don't know what. But yeah. So they last long-lasting foods like that. Seisab samagri aage kori bo vistar jahar shravane bhaktir vahe ashrudhar. Wow. I shall describe the contents of the bags of Raghav Pandit later in this book. Hearing this narration, devotees generally cry and tears glide down from their eyes. Wow. Just the bags of Raghav Pandit can bring tears to the eyes of the devotees. A vivid description of these Raghavar Jhali is to be found in chapter 10 of the Antilila portion of Sri Chaitanya Charitamrita. Actually, once Sundar Prabhu alluded to those verses and he read all those verses. It was very, very, it was very moving. But I forgot the whole. I'm so bad at these stories, remembering stories. If I read a few times, then I will definitely remember. But it was very moving. I remember that, but I forgot the whole story of it. Raghavar Jhali. I do not know if we have time. But Antilila, when are we going to read about it? So let's read. The following summary of chapter 10 is given by Bhaktivinoda Thakur in his Amrita Pravaha Bhashya. Amrita Pravaha Bhashya is Bhaktivinoda Thakur's commentary on Chaitanya Charitamrita. Each chapter is summarized like that. That is his bhashya. Before the Rath Yatra ceremony, all the devotees from Bengal started for Jagannath Puri as usual. Raghav Pandit brought with him various kinds of food for Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. So from Bengal he used to bring. So it's once a year he comes and sees him. And then in the next Rath Yatra only you will see him. So the Raghavar Jhali used to be there with Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Raghav Pandit brought with him various kinds of food for Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. The food had been cooked by his sister Damayanti, who then packed it in bags, jhali. Thus, the stock of food was generally known as Raghavar Jhali, the bags of Raghav. Makaradhvajakara, an inhabitant of Panihati who accompanied Raghav Pandit, was the secretary in charge of accounting for the Raghavar Jhali. There was accounting audit for Raghavar Jhali. That's how, there has to be proper accounting for everything about Krishna, every service. For, kitchen department. Every department should be nicely organized. Everything, like preaching, books, everything has to be nicely organized. Festivals, deity worship department, everything should be nicely organized. The day when all the devotees arrived at Jagannath Puri, Lord Govinda was enjoying sporting pastimes in the waters of the lake known as Narendra Sarovar. Okay, I think. Okay, not much is there. That was the end of Raghavar Jhali. But I think if we go to the verses, then there will be more explanation. Just a second, let me see. Okay. Just a second. 10:39. That was a nice. Okay, we can actually. Okay, read some of it. But I don't know what was the moving part of the story. I don't know. Okay, I think. Yeah. So, I know it's a bit late. I'm sorry. We'll just maybe learn about a little bit about Raghavar Jhali. He's very famous, very dear to Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. राघव पंडित चले झाली साजाया, राघव पंडित चले झाली साजाया, दमयंती जत द्रव्य दिया छे करिया. So Raghav Pandit came with bags full of food prepared very nicely by his sister Damayanti. So we'll just read the English then. Damayanti made varieties of unparalleled food just suitable for Lord Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu to eat. The Lord ate it continually for 1 year. So much. I mean, just imagine, you have to make food for 1 year. You know, how much food you have to make. Because only once he is going to come, and during Rath Yatra time. You see how many, the names of the dishes. These are the names of some of the pickles and condiments in the bags of Raghav Pandit, the contents of Raghav Pandit's bags. Amra Kashandi, Ada Kashandi, Jhal Kashandi, Nembu Ada, Amra Koli, Amsi, Amakhanda, Tailamra, and Amasatta. With great attention, Damayanti also made dried bitter vegetables into a powder. Wow. And dried bitter vegetables into a powder. Do not neglect Sukuta because it is a bitter preparation. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu derived more happiness from eating this Sukuta than from drinking Panchamrit, a preparation of milk, sugar, ghee, honey and yogurt. Bhavagrahi Mahaprabhu Snehamatra Loy Sukuta Pata Kashandite Mahasukha Pai. Since Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is the Supreme Personality of Godhead, he extracts the purpose from everything. He accepted Damayanti's affection for him and therefore he derived great pleasure even from the dried bitter leaves of Sukuta and from Kashandi, a sour condiment. मनुष्य बुद्धि दमयंती करे प्रभुर पाए, गुरु भोजने उदरे कभु आम हया जाए. Because of her natural love for Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, Damayanti considered the Lord an ordinary human being. Therefore, she thought that he would become sick by overeating and there would be mucus within his abdomen. Purport. Because of pure love, the devotees of Krishna in Golok Vrindavan Vrajabhumi loved Krishna as an ordinary human being like them. Yet, although they considered Krishna one of them, their love for Krishna knew no bounds. Similarly, because of extreme love, devotees like Raghav Pandit and his sister Damayanti thought of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu as a human being, but their love for him was boundless. By overeating, an ordinary human being becomes prone to a disease called Amlapitta, which is a product of indigestion characterized by acidity of the stomach. Damayanti thought that such a condition would afflict Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. First of all, he was quote unquote overeating as a sannyasi, and there was one which is Ramachandra Puri, who was and Amogha, son-in-law of Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya, and then there was this Ramachandra Puri who used to criticize the Lord. Hey, he's overeating, he's eating 12 man's food. That is one way, criticizing the Lord. Here, he's by eating so much, he will get this indigestion. So let me give this one, Sukuta. So she's not taking any this is a fault of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, is he overeating as a sannyasi? No. I mean, Supreme Personality of Godhead. This is the difference between whether he overeats or undereats or whatever it is. In fact, of course, undereats they don't like. The devotees want him to eat nicely. It's like a mother wants to see the son eat nicely, like that. When my mother used to call me a few years back, the topic of the call was, have you eaten nicely? I mean, I used to tell Ma, I'm eating nicely, I'm putting on weight, and I'm still alive. So I'm not malnourished. I'm eating nicely. Every time she'll ask me, Have you eaten nicely? What? I should eat very nicely, is it? Bhalana khaibe, bhalana khaibo, bhalana podibo. Don't eat nicely, don't dress too extravagantly. So, that is the Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's instruction. Bhalana khaibo. So, don't eat too much, too extravagantly, and don't dress too extravagantly. So, anyway, of course, we cannot imitate like Rupa Goswami, Raghunath Das Goswami. That is the affection of mother, Usually, ladies of the house, they have this kind of affection for the people in the house. Because of sincere affection, she thought that eating the sukuta would cure the Lord's disease. Considering these efforts of Damayanti, the Lord was very pleased. See, in the Raghavar Jhali is the topic. But you see how much devotion there is in that two words. Because the sister of Damayanti, and what kind of thoughts she prepared the foodstuffs, and why it is so dear to Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, and so a whole full of devotion. That Raghavar Jhali was full of devotion, bags of devotion. A dear lover strung a garland and placed it on the shoulder of his beloved in the presence of her co-wives. Shoulder of his beloved in the presence of her co-wives. She had raised breasts and was very beautiful, yet although the garland was tainted with mud, she did not reject it, for its value lay not in material things but in love. Where is this from? Purport. This is a verse from Kiratarjuniya by Bharavi. What is this got to do with? I think it's a Sanskrit verse, is it? प्रियेण संग्रथ्य विपक्ष सन्निधाव उपाहितां वक्षसि पीवरस्तने स्रजं न काचिद् विजहौ जलाविलां वसन्ति हि प्रेम्णि गुणान वस्तुने. So basically, even though it was the garland was tainted with mud, she did not reject it, for its value lay not in material things but in love. So basically, although her seeming thought of the Lord as like a normal human being, like that, but actually, although it looks like tainted with like material feelings, actually it's actually full of love. So there's no fault in that. And similarly, the deity in the summer in India, you will have Chandan Yatra. So Chandan, they put Chandan on his body, whole body. So Chandan Yatra in the peak of summer, it happens for 1 month, I think. And in the winter, they put woolen clothes. Why? The Lord, you may think, what is this? This is, you are thinking the Lord is an ordinary human being. Avajananta Mamudha, you rascal, why are you putting all this human-like thing? He is above this, he doesn't feel heat and cold and all this, he is pure spirit. That's one. That is without devotion. To understand the God's greatness and everything, that is one thing. But a higher aspect is to consider the Lord dependent on the love of the devotee. Like Yashoda, she used to think how the Lord, hasn't drunk milk and he's just, running around, and so she was always concerned. Or some demon is coming. What demon can do to Krishna? If she had that thought, then the love will not become so prominent. If the knowledge is too overpowering. So therefore, Krishna covers that knowledge so that the love can be overpowering. The feeling of love is more important. And Krishna likes that. And knowledge sometimes obstructs that. So it's not that they don't have knowledge. They have the knowledge and they rise above even that knowledge. Yogamaya. When we don't have knowledge, avidya, that is Mahamaya. But in the Yogamaya, they seemingly don't have vidya, they also forget almost. But that is above the platform of knowledge. They've gone higher than knowledge into devotion. If you have objective knowledge of the Lord that He is Swarat, He is independent, He doesn't need anybody, so I don't need to do anything to Him. So what service I am going to do? So why am I a servant? So, although He is Swarat, but He is completely dependent on the devotees. He becomes dependent on the devotees. So then devotees feel also like that He is dependent on my affection, so I must do nicely for Krishna. So that's how. So this is not the same as Avajananta Mamudha Manushim Tanum Ashritam. This is not like, she is considering Chaitanya Mahaprabhu as an ordinary human being. This is offensive. No, this is not offensive. If it was offensive, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu wouldn't have accepted nicely from her. So, going further, Damayanti powdered coriander and anise seeds, cooked them with sugar and made them into sweetmeats in the shape of small balls. Wow. Need to try. Actually, many recipes are here. Somebody needs to try these things and see how they actually taste. They must be very good, So, but we don't have this. Shunthi Khanda Nadu Ramapittahar. She made sweetmeat balls with dried ginger to remove mucus caused by too much bile. She put all these preparations separately into small cloth bags. She made 100 varieties of condiments and pickles. She also made koli shunthi, koli churna, koli khanda and many other preparations. How many should I name? She made many sweetmeats in the shape of balls. Some were made with powdered coconut and looked as white as the water of the Ganges. In this way, she made many varieties of long-lasting sugar confections. She made long-lasting cheese. Wow, how to even do that? Many varieties of sweetmeats with milk and cream and many other varied preparations such as Amrita Karpur. Wow. She made flat rice from fine unboiled shali paddy and filled a large bag made of new cloth. Flat rice from fine unboiled shali paddy. She made some of the flat rice into puffed rice, fried it in ghee, cooked it in sugar juice, mixed in some camphor and rolled it into balls. How expert she is in all kind of things she knows. She powdered fried grains of fine rice, moistened the powder with ghee and cooked it in a solution of sugar. Then she added camphor, black pepper, cloves, cardamom and other spices and rolled the mixture into balls that were very, very palatable and aromatic. She took parched rice from fine paddy, fried it in ghee, cooked it in a sugar solution, mixed in with some camphor and thus made a preparation called ukhda or mudki. Another variety of sweet was made with fused peas that were powdered, fried in ghee and then cooked in sugar juice. Camphor was added and then the mixture was rolled into balls. I mean, somebody has to get these recipes and try for camphor is edible. Yes, there is edible camphor. Yes, very much so. The chemical one which is used for the karpur, for this thing, that is not, but the natural camphor is edible and is used also in sweet rice. Edible camphor. So, for I think Gaura Purnima, if we make this something like this kind of recipes, that will be so nice, isn't it? But one must experiment this way beforehand in order to even know what these are, and then Raghavar Jhali recipes, Damayanti's recipes. I could not mention the names of all these wonderful eatables even in a lifetime. Damayanti made hundreds and thousands of varieties. Wow. Damayanti made all these preparations following the order of her brother Raghav Pandit. Both of them had unlimited affection for Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and were advanced in devotional service. Damayanti took earth from the Ganges, dried it, powdered it, strained it through a fine cloth, mixed in aromatic ingredients and rolled it into small balls. What? Wow. What is that dish supposed to be called? Ganga balls, or what is that? Ganga sweet? Ganga dust sweet? What is that even? Wow. The condiments and similar items were put into thin earthen pots, and everything else was put into small cloth bags. From small bags, Damayanti made bags that were twice as large. Then, with great attention, she filled all the large ones with the small ones. Okay. See, one bag inside many bags. Inside one bag, there were many bags. And inside those bags were the items, like that. She then wrapped and sealed each and every bag with great attention. The bags were carried by 3 bearers, one after another. Big program, big mission, every Rath Yatra. Thus, I have briefly described the bags that have become famous as Raghaver Jhali. Now, the superintendent for all those bags was Makaradhvajakara, who kept them with great attention like his very life. Actually, there is more description of this, where, Makaradhvajakar, something happens to those bags, something missing, or something is there. Can somebody find that? There's some other continuation of that. I don't know. So anyway, Ganga Laddu. Ganga Laddu. So yeah, I don't know how much we can go. Already 10:30, so I think I'll stop here. I'll see if there is any other description of Raghaver Jhali. There was something connected with that, and it was, I remember it was something more than just the descriptions of the foods inside. Let me just, you all also try please, and then I will try. Well, let's make a quick search if we can find something. Is it in this chapter? So if you see here, I'll try to take it out on the screen. So 10117, let's see. Let's see if this has some explanation on it. Okay, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu accepts prasadam from his devotees. So here, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu sat down to eat, then Govinda offered him the preparations one after another, and as he did so, he spoke the name of the person who had given each one. See how he gave credit to each and every item who made what, and he remembered all of them first of all, and then he mentioned it to him. These preparations, paida, sweet rice, cakes made with cream, and also amrita gutika, manda, and a pot of camphor have been given by Advaita Acharya. Next, there are varieties of food, cakes, cream, amritamanda, and padmachini given by Srivas Pandit. All these are gifts of Acharya Ratna, and these varieties of gifts are from Acharya Nidhi. And all these varieties of food have been given by Vasudev Datta, Murari Gupta, and Buddhimanta Khan. I think he was showing different items, and these are gifts given by Shriman Sena, Shriman Pandit, and Nandana Acharya. Please eat them all. Here are the preparations made by the inhabitants of Kulingram, and these have been made by the inhabitants of Khanda. In this way, Govinda gave everyone's name as he put the food before the Lord. Being very satisfied, the Lord began to eat it all. The hard sweets made of coconut, mukta, narikela, the sweet balls, the many kinds of sweet drinks, and all the other preparations were at least a month old, but although they were old, they had not become tasteless or stale. Indeed, they had all stayed fresh. That is the mercy of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Wow. Within a very short time, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu ate enough for 100 people. Then he asked Govinda, is there anything more left? Govinda replied, now there are only the bags of Raghaver Jhali. The Lord said, let them remain today, I shall see them later. The next day, while taking his lunch in a secluded place, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu opened the bags of Raghav and inspected their contents one after another. He tasted a little of everything they contained and praised it all for its flavor and aroma. All the varieties of the remaining prasadam were kept to eat throughout the year. When Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu ate his lunch, Swarup Damodar Goswami would serve it little by little. Sometimes Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu would take some of it at night. The Lord certainly enjoys preparations made with faith and love by his devotees. Krishna is very pleased with his devotees and their offerings. Therefore, in the Bhagavad Gita 9.26, the Lord says, Patram pushpam phalam toyam yome bhaktya prayachati tadaham bhaktipahritam ashnami prayatatmanah. If one offers me with love and devotion leaf, flower, fruit or water, I will accept it. Herein also we find that Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu accepted all this food because it had been offered by his devotees. Sometimes he would eat it during lunch and sometimes at night, but he would always think that since his devotees had offered it with great love and affection, he must eat it. Thus, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu spent the entire period of Chaturmasya, the 4 months of the rainy season, in the happiness of discussing topics of Krishna with his devotees. So, here also there is not so much. Anyway, so I think we will stop it here. So we will go through any questions that are there. Divya Mataji is saying, I have watched Krishna's headache drama, Prabhuji, it's so nice. Also Paramananda Shishya drama. Yes. When we have our own temple, can have an exclusive theatre for dramas. Yes. Okay, Manu Prabhu. Hare Krishna, you've answered my question on how to fully cook the devotee. When you've explained how you have saturated, remember your mind in the meaning and mood of the prayers and instructions. Lastly, be devoted. First, be devoted. The pure devotee, then we will get devotion for Krishna. Well, I am not really saturated with the meaning and the bhav and all, but at least we should know the meaning of the prayers. Eventually, then only the bhav will increase, the feeling will increase. And with every day we are singing those things and know how the spiritual master, everything, so with all our daily realizations, and then we sing again the next morning, then so in many angles we will feel the presence of the spiritual master, how we are being guided. Okay, so here Kiratarjuniya is an epic poem by Bharavi, considered to be the most powerful poem in Sanskrit. Really? Believed to have been composed in the 6th century or earlier, it consists of 18 cantos describing the combat between Arjuna and Lord Shiva at Indrakeladri Hills in present day Vijayawada. Wow. Eating more than required is not good for spiritual advancement. All sadhanas are to reduce our tendency to enjoy senses. Yes. But this cannot be done artificially. But eventually one must come to that. Prabhupada said eventually to come to the point of nil. No eating. So when Prabhupada said like this in one lecture, sorry. So when Prabhupada said in this one lecture, so one devotee was like, yes, actually, I'm eating too much, I should not eat. So he started fasting, and he became very weak and became sick. Then Prabhupada said, what happened to you? No, you said, we should not eat. So I was just trying to follow that instruction. I just got a little bit sick. No. Prabhupada said, no, you must eat. You must eat a lot. You must eat enough for you to, do service. You have to do so much service, so you have to eat. So, he gave the instruction that one should lessen his eating or reduce his eating. But at the same time, it should not be done artificially. Our service should not be interrupted, and both ways. Like if we eat too much, our service will be interrupted. If we eat too little, the service will be interrupted. So our service must be going on. And then if we can keep our service the same or even increase by decreasing the food intake, prasadam intake, that's good. But if our prasadam intake is going down and our service also is going down, the whole point is lost. The meaning of fasting and reducing the eating and all this is to come out of the bodily concept, so that I can act like a soul, real soul who is in the service of Krishna. But if I stop eating and then I worry only about my body, if I do this service, then my body today is nirjala fasting or this one, that one, so I cannot, I will get very tired or this or that. That means I am thinking of the body only. So I can think of the body by eating too much or eating too little. Yuktahara viharasya yukta cheshtasya karmasu yukta swapnava bodhasya yogo bhavati dukkhaha. Yuktahara, just enough so that our attention is not on the body, enough to maintain it, keep it well oiled. Well oiled means usually a machine, well oiled means put it in, keep it in nice condition so that you can use it. Don't obsess over it, and don't refrain from doing basic maintenance. If you don't do basic maintenance of a car, you can't even drive it. And if you just obsess over the car and all kind of modifications, but what are you doing it for? The car's purpose is to get you from point A to point B. Whether it's multicolor or whether it's shining and jil jiga, it doesn't matter. It just has to get you from one place to another. That's all. or if it's making special sound, like a like a sports car or something like that. Doesn't matter. It has to get you from it. So obsessing over it is kamasya nendriya priti labho jiveta yavata. So everyone has different limits of that, and according to his advancement, according to his body type or whatever. Like Bhima, if you ask him to do fasting, he can't. He just can't. That doesn't mean he's not doing any tapasya. He's a sense enjoyer. No, he's a devotee. But his body type is like that, and with that energy, he will do Herculean tasks, service for Krishna. So according to one's advancement, according to one's bodily situation, the amount of food may be different. But the general rule is yes, we have to reduce our food intake, day by day. I mean, not day by day, it may happen over time. But yes, so that should be the main thing is our chanting, our service should not be stopped. That is the main focus. Otherwise, we'll be too much focusing on the body, either way, less or more. Divya Mataji. Prabhuji, Lord Jagannath slapped Pundrik Vidyanidhi on his cheeks for criticizing the priest. The Lord doesn't like us criticizing any priests at any of the Vishnu or Krishna temples. Sometimes priests at some temples don't mind devotees' feelings. Then also should we not point out? What do you mean? Of course, I criticized that Jagannath priest, that Panda. I don't know whether he was a priest inside the temple or what, but he was a Panda, he was showing us around. And Anavasar time, now that Snana Yatra, after Snana Yatra, when the Lord is not visible on the altar for 2 weeks plus before Rath Yatra. So, of course, we did not go at that time, we took the darshan of the Lord, but he was telling about this Anavasar time after Snana Yatra when he is not there. So he said that is the real Nirgun Brahma. Now it is Sagun Brahma, but then it is the real Bhagavan, that darshan, that is a Nirgun darshan. Nirgun darshan. I nicely gave it to him. So I say, if you don't know philosophy, don't talk. You first learn proper philosophy. Philosophy means that this is to increase the desire of the devotees to see him. He withdraws his presence from the altar. So it is actually, it invokes the feelings of separation in the heart of the devotee. This is a very high, Jagannatha Swami Nayana Pathagami Bhavatume, Jagannath Ashtakam. Oh Jagannath, please come in front of me, please become visible to me. So Chaitanya Mahaprabhu used to sing this song, Jagannath Ashtakam. And the last line is Jagannath Swami Nayana Pathagami Bhavatume. Please come in front of my eyes, please become visible to me. But that is the whole point of this Anavasar time, this feeling of separation. So it is a very sweet thing. They made it into a horrible thing that this is Nirgun. This is actually the Nirgun. The real darshan will happen at Anavasar time when it's a Nirgun darshan. Then you eat Nirgun prasadam, no? No need to, no prasadam, no prasadam, invisible prasadam. You eat. Eating like, big pot of prasadam. But darshan is Nirgun. Why? Nirgun prasadam, you don't eat anything. Nirgun urine, Nirgun stool. Nirjala. Everything Nirjala. You die better. So, I told him like I think die and all this I did not use, but I chastised him very badly. But that had to be done. What nonsense is talking. So of course, we have to. Pacha Karpuram looks translucent, it's edible. Use it for flavor or for medicinal purpose. Alright, I think that's the end of them. What is inside Jagannath's wood deity in Puri? You go and find out. Jagannath is there, what is there? So alright, I think we'll end it there. जय श्री चैतन्य महाप्रभु की जय, गौर भक्त वृंद की जय, राघवेंद्र जाली की जय, दमयंती माता जी की जय. So alright, so We will continue again next week. I think this Monday we have to do AM probably. Yeah, we should do that. Alright, so thank you very much. Hare Krishna.